Welcome back. Right now, I'm absolutely honored to have actress Anna Hindman on our show today. She is starring with Bruce Willis in a film called American Siege that was out just a few weeks ago. So excited to meet Anna. How are you doing today? Thanks for being here.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. A little cold today, but
It is definitely cold here as well, but so excited to talk with you, to meet you, and learn about this film. So let's start with that. Tell me about this exciting film that was just released.
definitely. Yeah, American Siege is an action-packed mystery thriller where my character, Grace Baker, she's on this path for answers, seeking answers. Her sister went missing 10 years ago, and so that's just driving her through the whole movie. She's going to pretty much stop at nothing to get what she wants. And Bruce Willis plays the sheriff, kind of negotiating this hostage situation that happens. And it's a really great film about family, even though it is very action-packed and thriller as well.
And tell me more about playing this character, Grace. Now, she's very active. She's very, I want to say aggressive, but that's because there's a reason behind that. She's very purpose driven. But what an incredible role. Tell me more about her in that role.
Absolutely. I loved playing Grace Baker. I'm really drawn to these roles that tell stories of strong, driven women. I love the anti-hero, and that's kind of what Grace is. She is so passionate about her family, and that's what drives her through the whole movie. And so there's such a freedom in Grace because she doesn't care what anyone thinks. She doesn't care what happens to her. She just wants those answers, and she knows what she wants. And I love the tension of the anti-hero between the audience wondering, like, oh, is she gonna do the right thing? Is she not gonna do the right thing? And I feel like there's a lot of that in Grace Baker in American Siege.
Have you ever played a character like this before? I mean, she's carrying a gun through a lot of the film. She's also getting hurt. There's some violence in there. Has that been like any other role that you've done in the past?
No, this was completely different than everything I've done. And it's also completely different from me as a person. And that's what made it so fun. And I want to play more of these roles because it's just a completely different experience than my day to day. And being able to step into that character and into that story and experience that freedom that this character has is one of the main reasons that I love acting so much.
And I love hearing about how you got your start. I read that you started out in this industry acting in, I believe, like a power commercial when you were 6. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my dad is like an artist and musician, and so I kind of grew up around the arts. My mom is also creative as well, and so I always knew that I wanted to do something with the arts. And I guess my parents saw this like casting call for a local power company, and my dad came with me, and it was basically just sitting around the whole day, but I loved it. And in the car ride home, he told me that I looked up at him and I was like, I want to do this every day. And so it just kind of went from there. My parents have been so supportive. My mom was involved in community theater all through my childhood with me. So yeah, I was really lucky to just have that support from the start.
So after that commercial, you were involved in theater and then college. How did you break into the film industry?
Yeah, so after college, I went to college in Connecticut, and I was going for musical theater. So I was going to move to New York, but I don't know, something kind of just like changed in my mind that I really wanted to start doing TV and film. Actually, I watched Westworld, and it kind of just revamped my whole thoughts on like, oh, I want to be doing something like this. And so I moved to Los Angeles and started kind of from the bottom and started from scratch there because all of my connections and whatnot had been in New York. So I started from scratch in Los Angeles and just got the chance to meet a lot of people, work on a lot of projects, collaborate, write projects. So yeah.
And not only do you act, but I understand you also were teaching science recently, middle school science as well. Tell me about that.
Yes, yeah. So I recently found this passion for teaching. For the past about 2 years, I've been doing middle school science. It is a whole different ballgame from acting. The kids are like, they keep me young. Like, I don't know any of these trends, these like TikTok trends. It's so funny. They'll be like doing TikTok dances like while they're taking tests. But it's a lot of fun. I just love being able to, I don't know, work with these kids and be inspired by them and just teach something that is so different from acting because it's science and you get to like, do a lot of discovery based things and just watch that moment where it clicks for kids. It's really cool. And they get to ask questions about the world and they're really curious.
And you also just released your first single, so you're doing that as well. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so my first single is called Dislove. I wrote it in January 2020 with a musician producer, and we were just talking about like toxic relationships basically. This song came out of that. We ended up recording it around maybe like a year ago, so it's been a process. It's been like a 2-year process, and then we released it in July, and now it's on Spotify and iTunes, everywhere you can stream music.
I feel like you have had such a busy year, maybe year and a half, couple of years, from teaching middle school science to everything you're doing with your career in acting, this film, this big film, American Siege. You also recently got married. So I'm curious, is this feeling like a whirlwind?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. I was actually just talking to one of my wife's best friends, and she said that exact same thing. She was like, I can't believe the past 2 years that you really had. And I agree. I feel like it's an object motion stays in motion. Like, I'm just trying to ride this wave of continuing to do as much as I can. Because I love staying busy. I love being able to express myself in creative things. I love being able to also have these family values and, talk about starting a family with my wife and get to spend some time, quality time, and go on like little road trips and stuff. So yeah, very full experiences lately and definitely a whirlwind, but I love it.
And you're also passionate about projects that are close to your heart. So how can we find out more about you? Actually took a look at your Instagram and I just loved it. There's a scene in there that you put out a video on your Instagram feed where it shows when you found out you got this role with Bruce Willis, and you have such a magnetic personality. I think people would love to connect with you in that way. So how can they find you on social and find out about everything you're doing?
Well, thank you. I'm on Instagram at It's Anna Hindman, and then I have a TikTok, which I love TikTok, and it's at .Hindman, and then that's just my TikTok username.
And then circling back to American Siege, I have to ask, I hope that you aren't tired of this question, but what was it like starring with Bruce Willis and also a big starred cast? What was that like behind the scenes?
Yes, it was very daunting at first. I didn't know that this was a Bruce Willis film until I had gotten the part and was like on my way to set, on my way to Georgia. So showing up on set that first day was a little scary. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was the most supportive environment, and everyone just really became a big family. Bruce Willis is fantastic. He's super down to earth. He'll just strike up a conversation, joke around. My favorite like little story was we were on set and these kittens like jumped up on him and he was just hanging out with the kittens. And so very, very cool dude. Timothy V. Murphy, also a fantastic guy and fantastic actor. Johan Erb, he played my big brother, and he kind of just turned into a big brother for everyone. He's just so great. And everyone was just fantastic. I could go on for hours about every single person on that cast and crew. So it was a really good time.
And your depiction of Grace is just so well done. Just an intriguing film that nobody wants to miss out on. So how can we make sure that we watch American Siege?
Thank you. It's on Amazon Prime and iTunes as well as Google Play. So I think all of the different streaming services, you can Redbox as well. I think it's at the little kiosks and then also on the app.
so it's easy to find. Just a great film. Thank you so much, Anna Hindman, for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, hearing about your life, everything that you're involved in. I look forward to having you on again. We can talk more about future projects, and congratulations on this big role in American Siege. We'll be back with more right after this.